The first step to changing your water pump is you want to drain all the coolant from the radiator. Make sure you have a drain pan ready because it will get messy. Now you can remove your engine cover. It's held on with an 8mm socket, and with the same 8mm socket you can remove your intake. It's held on with 2 clamps. Once the air intake is out of the way, you can remove the serpentine belt. With the 15mm socket, you're going to turn the tensioner nut clockwise and remove the belt. The next step is remove the upper radiator hose. To remove that, you're going to use hose clamp pliers. Have a drain pan ready because there is going to be coolant. With the hose clamp pliers, you are now going to remove the side that is on the water pump. To make it easier, spray WD-40 on the hose to make it come off. You are then going to remove your heater hoses. Now it's time to remove the fan shroud and fan. When removing the fan, it is important you know how it is threaded. First, start by unplugging the fan. To remove the fan, we like to use an air hammer with an extender attachment. When using the air hammer, you want to hit the corner of the nut to break it free. Then you can unscrew the fan. Everyone has their own method to remove a fan. The technician in this video prefers this method. If you don't have access to an air hammer, you can rent tools to remove the fan from almost any auto parts store. To remove the shroud, you're going to unscrew the 2 bolts at the top with a 10mm socket. When taking out the fan and the shroud, be careful so you don't puncture the radiator. You are now going to remove your belt tensioner. With the 15mm socket, remove the 3 bolts that are holding it on. Now that we're finally at the water pump, you're going to want to use a 3 to 6 inch extension and a 10mm socket to remove the 6 bolts holding on the water pump. Now that the water pump is removed, clean the mounting surface of the water pump to ensure you have a good connection. We like to use a sander and brake cleaner. Once the surface is clean, we like to put silicone where we mount the gaskets to make the job easier. This is not a necessary step, but it will definitely help. Now that the gasket is on the water pump and everything is clean, put your bolts in through the water pump and mount it back on. Start by hand tightening the 6 10mm bolts so it holds, and then go back over the ratchet and make them snug. Be sure not to over tighten because they can snap and then you have a whole other problem on your hands. Now you can reattach your tensioner with the 3 15mm bolts. You can go ahead and reattach your hoses. A quick tip on reattaching the hoses is to spray some WD-40 on there so they can go on a little bit easier. Once the tensioner is on, you can reinstall your serpentine belt. On most cars there's a diagram on how it should go on. All the hoses should be reconnected now, and you can now reinstall your fan and shroud. To reinstall the shroud, you want to slide it back into place and put your 2 10mm bolts back in. Once the shroud is in, you can put your fan back on and tighten it down. You reattach your air intake and tighten the 2 clamps with your 8mm socket and put the engine cover back on, also with the 8mm socket.